Hey guys, so today we're going to revisit a video that I've done way back when on how to load a heavy kayak onto your vehicle. Now, I should mention that a lot has changed since the last time around, and primarily I've been involved in a heavy car accident, so that's something that I'll have to wear for the rest of my life. Based on doctors' recommendations and just the scope of the injuries, I really can't be lifting nothing heavier than a cat probably. There's just way too much going on. So I could tell you one thing: if I could do it with my damaged spine and damaged knee and damaged neck, then anybody else can. So let's talk about this a little bit. Way back when, I have suggested, by the way, this is also a Toyota Tacoma. Way back when I suggested possibility of putting a deer hoist into the tailgate, and the problem has always been the same. You lift the kayak and then you have to rotate it. Well, the problem is most of the kayak was way up here, and so somebody had to push. And so after making that video, I've actually made a refinement, but I've never actually went back and showed people how it is that I do this. Now, this is tried and true. I've been using this probably for about 2 years now. So let's talk about this a little bit. So this is a vehicle, Lone Bear Toyota Tacoma, with a Hobie Pro Angler 14 kayak on top of it. And underneath of it, I retrofitted this little doohickey. Now, if you find yourself in a camping store, you could buy those things for with membership for about $35 to $39. And what this is, this comes as a U-bracket. Come on, cat. He also wants to be in the shot. So that thing comes as a U-bracket, and it's made for the back of the travel trailer. So it fits around a 4-inch bar. Okay, and the interesting thing behind it, if you look on my truck, it's actually bigger than 4 inches. So what I had to do, I went to Ace Hardware and got myself 5-inch bolts. That's the only modification that I've done. And so what happens is the deer hoist that you've seen in the previous video gets put in the side, and then it stands right smack in the middle of the truck, and off it goes. The trick to loading the kayak, which I'll show you how to unload just to get you an idea of what it entails, you, instead of putting the kayak face first that way, you actually have to put it face first that way. And the reason why is because you're going to be swinging the entire kayak that way. And so that's pretty much how I've been doing it for the past 2 years. It seems to work. Not too shabby for spending $40 on that little adapter over there, and $30 on a deer hoist. So alright, let me cut to the next slide, and I'll show you how. Before I let you go, obviously you want to be keeping the doors clear of any ropes or anything like that. So this is a perfect example of how I've done it. You could wrap it around the back of the vehicle, and then you also have this thing up front just to kind of control. Remember that you don't really have to strap it tight. Not only that, if you noticed, I've actually removed the kayak rack. And the reason being is because on my old truck, the kayak rack has actually bent my roof, which really pissed me off. So all this is the cheap foam in multiple places and a few straps. I should mention though that even though I'm quite satisfied with how this setup is going, the only time when I'll be using this is only when I'm towing my travel trailer, as you can see by weight distribution hitch on the back. So for all other cases, I'll be showing you my kayak trailer that I bought specifically because I just can't be messing with this too much. But for those of you that still have the strength, this is exactly how you do it. Okay, so for those of you that have not seen my original video. Just a quick recap. The basic fundamentals of a deer hoist is that it plugs into the side of the vehicle. And let me... Oops. So, that's the vehicle. That's the side of the vehicle. You plug it into the hitch just like I showed you in the first video. This is the base. It comes with a bunch of holes based on the height of your vehicle. This thing here swivels, and you set this far enough back so that when you turn the handle, it doesn't hit the door. And then you could adjust the height based on your needs. In my particular case, I've upgraded the rope. And rope actually attaches to the middle of the kayak, generally speaking. And the goal in this particular case is to lift the kayak off the truck and then rotate it and then lower the kayak. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my camera on a tripod and just do a quick demonstration on how to do it, because I got to get this thing off anyways. Obviously, in my particular case, after the accident, I'm not allowed to lift anything heavy, so this is a godsend, really. Now, I'm not new to doing light fabrication. Here's my trailer that I'll be using for my hobby. 2 paddle boards on top, and then that I'm going to show you in a minute. So those go into one of the slots, and then the hobby goes up here. And then up here, I've used another doohickey, which came from Harbor Freight. Retrofitted a hitch-mounted vice plate to mount the winch. And then in the back of my truck, I actually have wires that are dangling over that way that connect to all of this. And because I can't pull my kayak anymore, this actually pulls it for me. And so those of you that have a travel trailer, this would be a lot of people try and figure out how the heck do you transport kayaks if you have a travel trailer. And so you could spend obscene amount of money, or you could actually go to Harbor Freight and Walmart and get the same exact thing. I'll probably make a separate video about it. This is just a hitch extender. That's just a base that you could buy at Walmart. And then all of that gets mounted to the same exact hitch receiver that you see on the truck over there. So I'll make a separate video about it. Now, as you might have guessed, the rope that I have tied over there isn't exactly what you call a center of gravity, and unfortunately there's really no way to get around it. So sometimes what I do is I actually tie up like a paddle or you know, something not too heavy. It really only just needs like a pound or so of balancing weight, but you get the idea. The winch carries it down. Obviously it's a lot easier to do when you have multiple people. If I'm going camping, you know, my family is holding the kayak as I'm loading it and unloading. But you could see that it could be done all by yourself, really at no particular strain to your back or neck or anything like that. So let me go ahead and lower this, and I'll show you the next step. Now back when I still had the capacity to wheel this thing around like it was nothing, what I've done is, this is your typical lawnmower wheels with a bunch of PVC pipe, a rod fit in there, and what you do is you just plug this into the back of the kayak like so. Now if you notice, this doesn't impede on performance of the kayak at all, and so what I've done is over the few years that I've had this kayak, I would just flip the wheels up when kayaking, and then in the water as I'm ready to hit the docks, I would lower this and then tuck it underneath the kayak, and so the kayak would actually, I could pick it up by the front and wheel it. Now in my particular case, like I said, after the accident I can't do that anymore. And so what I've done, I went back to Lowe's and actually got it myself a second cart, and I get this very crane, I lift the front, I slide the wheels underneath of it, and I just wheel it right where it should be. Now going forward, obviously to rectify my medical situation, I don't want to be complaining about too much, but that's the reason why I stopped using this contraption. I'm gonna keep that kayak on my trailer permanently and get it into the water, and then once done kayaking, you wheel this thing back in there, get the winch, you push it up, bada bing bada boom. But this exact design that I've just showed you, I've used on my silver truck for a couple of years, and I've used on this truck for a couple of camping trips. And that's pretty much it. You know, you want to simplify your life as much as possible, and this is just one of those scenarios. So hopefully this gives you guys some ideas. Oh, by the way, just as a safety precaution, this thing weighs 150 pounds. So obviously the last thing you want to do is stand under the load at any time. Another thing I wanted to mention is, in my particular case, I have not drilled a hole to secure this whole thing, and I'm still kicking myself for not doing that. Ideally what I want to do is drill holes in there and slide a pin in there. That way this whole contraption doesn't slide to and from. And the reason why is because it's very easy as you're lifting weights for this thing to just move ever so slightly, and all of a sudden your handle jams itself against the door. Another thing behind something like this is majority of the weight rests upon this one thing right up here. Okay, I literally have no faith in it, but so far it hasn't failed me. Obviously use a pin that you see in there, but without this pin under the load, this thing is awfully wobbly. But you know what, it has served me well. It hasn't given me any issues in the last couple of years. So, you know, well, 3 years now that I think about it. So just exercise caution. This is one of those things that use at own risk. And another thing I've done, if you haven't watched my original video, the original strap that came with it actually snapped. I was filming the previous video on the back of the truck, and my GoPro battery died. So I went back inside, and upon coming back, I heard a loud snap. Good thing I wasn't. It hasn't dropped the kayak, but that surely prompted me to go to Ace Hardware and get the actual rope. So this is it, folks.